Good morning. Welcome to episode 13, I think it was. Yes, 13, day 13 of my small account challenge. Now, you'll notice that I have ASTC pulled up here. Kind of crazy, the stock went up 780% in a day. It also made a move during pre-market here up to 25. I couldn't trade this yesterday because yesterday was a max loss day for me. I released a short explaining how that happened, at least the thoughts that I think of why it happened. But yesterday basically wiped out all of the profits that I made in the past 2 weeks, all of the progress, building on my account slowly. In gross, we're still up a little bit, but in net, after commissions and fees, we're basically break even. That is a little bit frustrating, but I think this is something common to a lot of traders. Make steady progress and then one day wipes it all out, and then they'll make steady progress and then one day wipes it all out. I'm hoping the difference between me and most traders is that I'm not going to let it get to me. I'm not going to let myself go in a spiral, and we're going to continue trading business as usual. However, I do have to think about the reason why that happened. And of course, I have been thinking about that. Part of the reason was position sizing. So I had just increased my position size, but I'd taken a loss before I took a win. So it was 75 shares instead of 50 shares. Today I've reduced my position sizing back down to 50 shares per quarter size. And also the fact that a $9 stock maybe being closer to a $10 stock is more whippy. So I'll be more careful with my position sizing on $9 stocks in the future. The other thing for me to keep in mind is things that I wasn't paying attention to that I should have. I mentioned in my short, I should be checking if stocks are easy to borrow. Now, it's not as easy for me to do that because TradeZero doesn't have anything built in like that normally. Sometimes it does say it has an S on the level 2, but for most small caps it doesn't have that because TradeZero doesn't really like small caps. They don't even let me margin most of them. It's not as reliable as a broker like Lightspeed or one of the other US brokers. So I have to look in Ross's chat to see if it's easy to borrow, if it has a float above 5 million shares. That float on that stock, QTTB, I traded did have above 5 million shares. It had 6 million. But anything above 5 million, I should be checking if it's easy to borrow. Usually stocks below 5 million or that are, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million share floats, they're not going to be easy to borrow because they have a limited number of shares to trade. But I do still have to check that. And I also have to be aware of the fact that sometimes I place too much weight on the catalyst. I thought private placement, great. But it doesn't matter what the catalyst is if market reaction isn't significant. If I have a private placement, but it sells off, it only has 20, 30,000 shares of volume, 80,000 shares of volume, sells off, and then crawls back up. It's not telling a story that people are excited about the catalyst, right? In which case, volume is going to be weaker, less of a chance that it's going to break through and make new highs. And also, the less volume it is, the more whippy the stock is going to be. So that was part of the reason why I kind of ignored the tweeter tops and the rejections and everything else. I saw the catalyst and I'm like, finally we have a catalyst, but it costed me. So we have to pay more attention to that. But one thing I have been noticing in my statistics for the past few months is that my winning days are generally smaller than some of my losing days, or they're about the same. Although my profit loss ratio is decent, right? It's been 1.5 consistently over the long term. My winning days generally aren't as big as my losing days. Right? I just had a $50 losing day, but when was the last time I had a $50 winning day? You, according to Ross, you don't really want to be losing more in a day than you can make in a single day, a single good day. So ATPC has a low float here, but I don't see any news on it. No news stock. It is in the price range that I normally like to trade. It's breaking out here. Sentiment has been higher, so it might be easier to trade stocks, even that don't have news, especially ones that are up this much on the day, considering we just had ASTC go up a significant amount. I'm going to wait on this one to see if it holds. I don't like that big wick, 1 minute. But we have 1 minute to 1 minute 30 to that 5-minute candle close. We'll see if it holds the 9 EMA. We'll see if it does a bit of a cup and handle here, maybe for the break back through high of day or not. What was I saying? I got distracted by the stock. Oh yeah, so my winning days have been bigger than my losing days. So that's something that I'm going to have to figure out. I mean, the market has been really cold and hasn't been giving us very many opportunities. I know that I trade with quarter size and half size until I reach certain buffer targets. So that's part of the reason I trade all of my starter sizes with quarter shares. And if there's only one opportunity, then if I only make 20 cents out of it, then that's it, right? If I don't get a second or a third opportunity, I can't take advantage of it. And I can't size up. And I've also, for the small account challenge, I've been being cautious to try and build up that buffer slowly before I size up. It's just unfortunate that the day that I size up, I take a big loss, even on quarter size. But even before that, when I was trading in the simulator, um, my winning days were always very small. I was always having trouble getting the most out of the market. I was messing up opportunities, getting in too high. I only capture small parts of the move. I might have to be a little bit more proactive in buying dips. Maybe not taking my profit too soon. I changed my keybind just this morning to only sell a third instead of selling half to see if I can let some of the winners run a little bit longer. I do like taking some profit when it reaches my first target for a 1 entry, 2 exit. But perhaps some of my trades, where it moves up 50 cents, I'm taking profit at 20 cents, but I could be taking a little bit less. We'll see. I'm going to see how I like that. But we're kind of creeping back up to this previous resistance level at 718. We have that wick up at 750. Thousand share seller at 720. Pops up to 720, 733, and then falls off a little bit. Still not sure about this. It was a pretty low flow, but it doesn't have news. MACD's crossed over on this now. Now it's just pretty much going sideways. Well, it can break 750 or 725. Then we're just kind of waiting. Kind of bouncing off this support level, seems like 67, 668. Previous high here at 673. Just for a quick note, I don't really have anything else on watch right now. ASTC is too expensive for me as the second leading gainer. RKTO, its float is too high. SNOW, its float is too high. And then everything else is not up enough on the day or is too cheap for me to be interested or too expensive. All of the continuation stocks, the relative volume are one or less than one. I've been on continuation for quite a few days now. I'll throw a mask on a side chart in case it breaks $2, but it's kind of far away from its high at 240. TPC selling off. Retesting VWAP. It's a very low float, but it's a Chinese company with no news. This is moving quickly, but hmm. I regret not taking a position on this dip here, but it being a Chinese stock with no news with 100,000 share float, I'm just worried that it would be too risky for me. Like if I jumped in here and it went back down all the way to 350 right after I just took a big loss the other day, and then getting smoked on this would hands off. I can't trade this. So it's great to see that, I mean, we have a lot of momentum, right? Things are starting to pop up, like this is popping up 200%. But it's a little bit, I mean, this is a good example of how your mentality or how your current position could really affect your decision to get into trades. If I was up on ASTC yesterday instead of down on QTTB, I would have a $100 cushion and I probably would have jumped in this maybe with quarter size. 430 all the way up to 550. Any of these other pullbacks I'd be willing to get into, but now that we are in a position where my risk tolerance is much lower, then I'm not really willing to trade a low float Chinese stock with no news because the risk is very high. And it just so happens that this is one that went up 200%, three 1 minute candles. Ross is also talking about how risky this is, but you know, we're trying to preserve our capital right now. We're not trying to make money. The money is a byproduct of the strategy. And we don't want to jump into anything that's going to compromise our emotions and cause us to start revenge trading. If it's too risky, it's too risky. I just can't touch it. But it's good to note, right, that we're seeing some big momentum the past couple of days. So if we get something with news and things start heating up going into June, then this will be the time, even though we're back to square one, this will be the time where we can get a little bit of a cushion and then start sizing up when stocks are making big moves. It just has to be the right stock. There was the alternative that I could have just traded with 10 shares on such a low float stock. If I had just thrown in 10 shares, it's still a buffer, right? 10 shares, maybe add on the first pullback another 10 shares. It's not nothing, but I don't know. See, it made its first move and now it's just selling off because it has no news. Like, there's no reason for it to be up. But isn't this the ironic nature of the markets, right? A Chinese stock with no news suddenly goes up 200% in 3 candles, but the stock yesterday that I thought had a good catalyst goes up 30%, sells off, and then fails to break through after a curl. It's very odd to me. Like if you look at the stock on the daily, it's not like this is a particularly great stock, just sold off its entire life almost. Tricky business. It's tricky business deciding like what weight to put on the catalyst. It is kind of interesting though. If I wanted to play the lottery on this in a single day, I could have made back what I lost yesterday and more. If I had just decided to play the lottery. Almost 7:30, so we'll see if we get some news, get a stock with some sort of catalyst that we can identify. If there is no news, 818 is the high. If there's no news and it does curl back up, break the highs, and hold 8, maybe I'll jump in with 10 shares. But since this will be the stock that's back in focus, being up over 200%, having a low float, it does have room to $20. A stock with this low of a float, if it's in focus, could, as we've been seeing, it could just make parabolic moves. We've seen that with some of these Chinese stocks before. We'll see if it holds up, or if we get any other news. I'm not seeing any news. Hey, Spooky. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I can understand like $5 or $10 or $1, but yeah, I don't know about $7. I guess we're just waiting. No news at 7:30. ATPC, like it's attempting a curl. MACD turning positive, kind of double bottoming off of that previous level of support there. Yeah, for only Chinese stocks, that would be interesting to see. I feel like I've seen him get smoked on some Chinese stocks before, but he also makes a lot of money on them. So I don't know. Yeah, since he took tiny share size. What share size did he take? Well, he doesn't have his actual quantity open, but I think he said he has 9,000 P&L on it, so he probably didn't take very big share size considering how much the stock moved. I think he said that he took I don't know how many shares he took. had him unmuted at the time, but I was hands off the stock, like I wasn't trading it. He said he took small size, but I didn't actually pay attention to how much size he took because I was afraid I was gonna get sucked into the trade, but I didn't want to take because it was so risky. Yeah. I think he took two separate trades on it too. He took the first pullback and either the second or the third pullback, just small share size. I think it was like 1,000 shares or something, a couple thousand shares. He is, yeah. There's a lot of Chinese stocks that, because they're a foreign listed company, sometimes they have insiders with a bunch of shares, basically pump and dump schemes. They're a little bit harder. Like they're not as common on the NASDAQ. They're more common on the pink market, whatever you call it, the OTC markets. But there are still a lot of Chinese stocks that take kind of shady underwriters to open up an IPO with just a bunch of shares for insiders, and then the insiders just end up dumping the shares. And then there's a lot of pump and dump scammers that like to pump these Chinese stocks. Yeah, that's the thing, right? He's got a cushion, so he's not afraid to take a loss right now. I'm afraid to take another loss right now. So let's try that. What is this? Recent reverse split? I'm gonna wait for a micro pullback on this. I don't like how it went from 6 all the way back down to 5 though. Got blue sky at 7. We'll see what it does. It's very whippy. Up to 6, down to 450, back up to 550. Blue sky at 7. This high was 616. And seconds left on that 1-minute candle. Let's see, does it hold? Hold 625, so I'm going to take a position. Top is 630. I'm looking for the squeeze up. Now I have to get back out. Super annoying. Not a good start. Let's see if this gives us a proper 1 minute pullback. Right there, I was thinking that since we broke that kind of flat top, that we would see a move higher with the blue sky setup up near 7. So if we broke 650 and we broke 7, then I was thinking that this thing could go parabolic. But it's just whippy, super whippy. Let's see if it holds up here. Maybe it gives us a proper 1 minute pullback. It's still holding the 9 EMA. But I might be chasing extensions on this. Like maybe getting up at 650 was too high. It was after 3 10-second candles. I was far away from support and the 9 EMA. I think that was a mistake. So let's see if we get a retest of VWAP here. So high 602. Ends up breaking down VWAP. We'll see if this curls back up or not. So my entry was here for the break up of 650. It moved very quickly after it broke 616. Considering its range, though, maybe I should have only taken 10 shares instead of 50 shares. I should probably start taking size based on the size of the rejections. So 575 down to 50-cent stop. I should be trading 10 shares, not 50 shares. Ends up selling off. All right, so we're down 30 bucks. We're gonna chill out. It's the first time during my small account challenge that I've actually been in a deficit. So we are gonna take a breather. And now we have to take really safe setups. I've already been trying to be cautious, but somehow we still ended up taking almost a, no, that was a 60-cent loss. Comparisons will kill you. Ross is just up 15,000 on the day, and I just took one trade and I'm down $30 on the day. He bought the curl here on NCT and made money on it. But he's making money on this Chinese stock. I didn't have the courage to touch it. The stock that I had courage to touch because it had news ended up rejecting near a blue sky setup. It's frustrating. Like it's hard. It's really hard to make sense of. I mean, a lockup agreement for the majority of its common stock isn't a bad headline. It means that, at least in the short term, there's not going to be anyone selling shares under the open market. And it was near blue sky of $7. It's in the healthcare sector and it was moving quickly. Yet this one only goes up 90% before it rejects. Whereas the Chinese stock with no news, it's kind of a garbage stock, goes up 200%. I guess it is, you know, NCT was a very, very low float. Leave it that. Whereas this one's a 1 million share float. 1 million shares is still pretty low float. But I don't know. It doesn't really make that much sense to me. And this one's selling off, whereas NCT is curling back up. You know? So it's like, what's the deal? This is part of what I try to figure out in a bit of a hotter market is when things are this volatile and you have things popping up all over the place, which are the right stocks to take and which aren't. And in a colder market, it's a bit more obvious because when something is strong, then it holds up. Otherwise, most stocks just kind of pop and fade almost immediately. They don't really pop up that much. So the stocks that have a really good catalyst, they pop up a decent amount, and you know that it's kind of a stronger stock. But in a market where people are jumping on with FOMO, some of these moves they don't really make sense to me. It's hard to pick the right stocks sometimes. But perhaps it's not about picking the right stocks. Maybe it's about just picking the right entries on stocks that have enough trader attention. Stock selection is a big part of it. In a hotter market, even B quality setups work. We just saw it with NCT. But NCT had cleaner price action with these pullbacks, kind of pulling back for one or two candles with a bottoming tail, a hammer, and then moving higher. Pull back with just a doji and then a move higher, and a pull back with two candles and a bottoming tail and a move higher. WGRX. Got these big whips. So I'll have to think about that more, about fundamental analysis. I know that Ross did say on NCT that it was riskier. Even though the price action was cleaner, the stock was riskier. You have to pay attention to a stock when it's whipping around. So it's an offer of acquisition, healthcare provider, up 10% right now. 8 a.m. news. I mean, Acon is in a good price range, 2 million share float. How's the news with the offer of acquisition, but it's only up 10% on the day and it's kind of choppy in the 10-second. It does have room up to 200. But this is also a bit of a garbage stock. 600 million, or sorry, not 600,000 peak. So NCT curling back up here slowly. It's actually holding up a little bit. Kind of grindy price action on the 10-second. AI popping up. Checks from 9 all the way down to 7. Pretty insane. Their Hong Kong company. ATPC curling back up here after consolidating around 570. See if it holds VWAP. VWAP is 630. It kind of drops down there and then pops back up. A little bit interesting. This might be a little bit of a bear trap setup potentially if it continues holding down here and it jumps back up through VWAP. 15 seconds left on that 2-minute candle. I'll take a position, stop at 630. I'm looking for retest of 650 here. And possible break of 650 on this bear trap. Because we curled back up here. We'll give it a second. Take a little bit of profit at 650. 1/3 profit. We break. We hold 650. We hold. Continuing higher. Bouncing off 669 there. We're just going to hold for this pullback, see if it can break 669 and continue its curl up. Top is going to be a breakdown of 650. Take a little bit more profit at 670. We'll just hold the remainder here. We'll see how much it can curl back up here. We'll wait for exit indicator. Exits would be a breakdown of 650, a double top at 680, high volume selling or MACD crossover. We'll see if it can come back up and retest. I'm just gonna exit because IOTR is gonna pull volume. It's another no news stock up 90%. Their low float. 30,000 share seller at 65. High volume selling on the 1 minute. We are above the 200 moving average, which is at 340. But topping tail on the 5 minute. Previous high was 566. Increasing volume. A 25,000 share seller popping up at 460 again, though. 479, 480. Have a pivot. So the 5 minute closed below VWAP, which isn't great. Let's see that 13,000 share seller up at 69. Let's see if there's 8:30 news or not. Once again, I don't really know about this because it's another international company with no news. I was thinking that maybe it had the possibility of working just because this kind of been the theme today is no new stock with a low float. JFB popping up. Construction company. %30 on that pop. 60,000 shares of volume. Don't know what the news is yet. Nine EMA is all the way down at 750 right now. 5 million share float. Drone defense program. But funny enough, I mean, these first pops are really, really insane. It's from 7 all the way up to 9. But this first pullback was only 13,000 shares of volume, so you can't manage your risk on it. And then it just sells off. So it feels like you're missing moves, but it's hard to say whether or not you're actually missing them because it's hard to manage risk on them. You know, the first pop on NCT, no news, low float Chinese stock. Then we've had other stocks pop up, just fade. It's not giving us a place where we can manage our risk appropriately. Anyone who bought up at $9 right now in this stock would have been in for a complete round trip back down to 6. NCT trying to curl up to view up again. A 5,000 share buyer at 608. I got eaten up. 10 seconds left on the 1 minute candle. SPRC popping up. Biotech with a low float. Not sure. Not sure how significant the headline is. Received regulatory approval. %40. Apparently the stock is easy to borrow. $30,000 share seller at 730. Holy smokes. Popped up from 7 to 8 and then back down to 7 and instantly. It's a pretty huge range. I don't really know why it would be easy to borrow with 500,000 share float. Really makes sense to me. Kind of curling back up here though. 90% now. It's moving with increasing volume. Reaching that 9. Hmm. Pretty extended up here now, so maybe we'll look for a pullback. If it holds 9. How many seconds left on that 1-minute candle? I'm going to take a starter. Stop is 9. Just 10 shares. Looking for the squeeze through 10. Pretty heavy, so I'm just going to get back out. I was hoping it would break through 10 there. So that was a good entry. If I had bought with bigger share size, like maybe if I had bought with quarter size, 50 shares instead of just buying 10 shares, then I could have sold up at up near 10, just the entire thing very quickly for a base hit. 50 shares for 70 cents a share would have brought me back to green on the day. But the reason I didn't is because I was testing an entry for a dip. So the candle hadn't yet closed. But I bought here at 9:30 as it popped back up over the 9 EMA. Kind of a dip, not really a dip. I just saw it pop back up over 9 very quickly, so I decided to take 10 shares. Another Hong Kong company with an AI headline. Hit volume. I also got smoked on a $9 stock the other day, so I wanted to take lighter share size on it. I don't want to get smoked again. But I'm testing entries with dips closer to support. $9.30, $9.40. Kind of a 9.50 pivot. I have that 5-minute candle is 950 for kind of a 5-minute bull flag closing in 30 seconds. We break 950, go all the way up to 10. Do we hold 10? Got a seller popping up at 11. Hmm. Having trouble finding safe entries. I think first support at 1150, 1175 maybe. Pop back over 12. I'll add. Looking for 1250. Top is 1150. Back out. Big rejection. False breakout. Somehow I'm dodging the profitable entries. And getting in on the false breakouts. So I got back in for the pop back up over 12. It moved up to 1250. I could have just taken it all off at 1250. That was a really fast projection though, back down below 12. So I expected this to be first candle to make a new high on the 1 minute above 12 for a break back through high of day, but not sure. So we're kind of curling off of the 20 there. We hold 1150. Hmm. MACD's getting close to crossing. We're reclaiming 1150. Curling back up. So I'm going to take a position here. Stop is 1175. Looking for a breakthrough high of day. Do we break 1250? Break through 1250, so we'll add. Look for the squeeze through 1350. Do we hold 12? No, we're closing with a topping tail. I just have to get out. You guys are seeing me struggle here. So I actually had a good entry at 12, but I added up at 13 because it broke 1250 and I expected it to go parabolic again because we're super low float. We just had a consolidation here. So I didn't feel like it was as extended anymore. So I added just an extra 10 shares at 13. It's nothing crazy, right? But it ends up rejecting again here at 13. So the entry down here was right. The add was, I guess it was too much. But I have to stop there for today. This is going to be not a max loss day, but it's close to max loss again. Minus 30, and then up a couple of trades, and then down 8, and then down 13. I seem to be dodging all of the big moves, and then getting in when there's false breakouts. So I'm probably going to have to go through my VODs this weekend and kind of remind myself like where are the best entries. Normally the best entry is like very obvious entries, first candle to make a new high. So, I mean, it did work, right? First candle to make a new high right here for the breakthrough 12. But I don't know, maybe adding was too ambitious. My cost basis, because it popped all the way up to 13 instantly, I thought, you know, my cost basis would be 12.50. I still have 50 cents of room, but it dropped down to 12.50 instantly. I should have sold immediately. You know, the trade didn't end up working, but I think my mental got to me a little bit there and I held longer than I should have. I called out my stop earlier being 12, but I didn't adjust it for the add. Usually when you add up here, like if I add at 13 and my entry is at 12, then your new stop is break even, but I didn't do that. I turned a winning trade into a losing trade by doing that. Frustrating. I bought this false breakout back here. That was 857, right? Yeah, I bought that false breakout right there. First candle to make a new high above 12. I didn't buy any of these pullbacks. I didn't buy those because I was waiting for a retest of support. It was too far away from support for me to feel comfortable entering. I did think about buying down here on this kind of bear trap. I dropped below VWAP and then came back up. So ironically, that would have been the best entry as one of my bear trap setups. The same one that I used on ATPC earlier, I could have used on this one, and it would have worked very well. From $9 all the way up to 1069, and then I would have been in the driver's seat to maybe add for one of these pullbacks. So maybe it's time to start using some of my VWAP setups again. Now that the market is heating up, so I can get in closer to support. Originally what I created them for. But somehow on this, I dodged all of the good entries. When this first popped up here, I had a thought to buy because it was also a low float. And we've had so many low float stocks that I make big moves, but I didn't. So I wanted to get confirmation because I was already down on the day. All the way through this portion here, I was waiting for it to pull back closer to the 9 EMA for me to get in. But it did this horizontal type of increasing volume pattern. And it just never, it never did a proper pullback, proper 10-second pullback all the way up until it started going sideways back here. I did buy here for good entry, but I bought with very low share size, and I was looking for the breakthrough 10. It just never broke, and I held too long. Very frustrating. So I think I'm going to shut it down. I'm not emotionally in the right state to be trading right now. That's 3 losses on the day. The first loss was the biggest loss. The last 2 losses on SPRC after seeing it go up 150% is annoying, but they're not, I mean, they're not the end of the world, right? We're going in the opposite direction though. Now, we were making good progress, and now we're going the opposite way. I think part of it is my mental, getting in at the wrong timings, avoiding stocks that I feel are too risky, even though they're the ones that are making the big movers today. You know, we had how many 100%, 200% moves today where I didn't want to get in on the first 10-second pullbacks because most of them didn't have news. Then the one stock that did have news, the first stock that I got in with news for this break through the flat top here, ended up doing just a rejection. So right now we are choosing the right stocks to trade, but we're entering at the wrong timings. A couple of them I did get timings correct, but a few of them I've kind of had, I just kind of got in too high. Now BNZI is popping up. Operation cost reductions. Let's see what Ross has to say about it. You know, Ross made a good comment on stream just now that kind of reminded me kind of exactly the situation I'm in right now. 2 bigger red days in a row now with a big drawdown means that I probably have to go into trader rehab. So tomorrow and next week will be trader rehab for me. So you'll be seeing the struggles of a beginner trader going into trader rehab, trying to get his mojo back. But I'm not going to take any more trades. I'm going to shut it down. It's already 9. I'm not trading at the open. I do have to get off early today anyways, because I have a meeting. But I'll be back at it tomorrow, 7 a.m., same time. The trader rehab time. But until then, thanks to everyone that stopped by. Take care, stay green. We'll see you next time.